Hello there, welcome to Alyssa Jean's Reviews. My name is Alyssa, and this is my review for Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode 2, Penance. I will start with the standard spoiler warning. If you have not seen up through the end of this episode, you should not be watching this video. Blah, blah, blah. Now, into the episode. So, I remain intrigued. I remain hooked. I really want to see where they are going with this, though I am not convinced they're going to be able to pull it off. Yet, they seem to have really gone off on a tangent from the mystery at the end of the first episode. I mean, other than Q. Before the Q thing, at the end of the first episode, we have the Borg Queen coming in with this mask, and every indication is that the Borg actually do have good intentions, or they might actually have good intentions, and they're generally seeking for help from Picard. So we have left that mystery entirely and gone off on a completely different tangent, where now all of a sudden we are trying to figure out the mystery of the alternate timeline. And I can only assume that at some point they are going to have to circle back around to that first mystery about the Borg and what are the Borg's intentions, why is the Borg Queen wearing that mask, what is going on there. But right now it's hard to see what the two things have in common. How are they related? But I assume they're going to have to tie it all together. So either it'll be a brilliant masterpiece where they tie it together brilliantly, or it'll be kind of a mess. So we will just see which way it goes. Lots of mysteries set up in this episode, such as the mystery of this timeline, and did Q indeed change the timeline as Picard suspects, and if so, why did he do that? I had a lot of trepidation going into the season based off of the trailers about the alternate timeline thing and the going back in time thing. It seemed a little bit overdone, a little bit cliche, and it felt like, yeah, we're just going to do this all over again, and that sort of thing. But I will say this, the one thing that I feel really makes this alternate timeline story stand out from any other alternate timeline story in Star Trek is that in all of those other ones, you always know by the end of the first hour, because some of them are two-parters, but by the end of the first hour, you know exactly why the timeline has changed and what our characters need to do in order to fix it. Here, we have no idea, but it is a serialized story told over 10 episodes, so we are not going to know by the end of the first hour, and I like that. It really makes me intrigued. I really, truly am hooked into this story. I remain skeptical. I want to see how they pull it off. Are they really going to be able to tie this all together and make it into an interesting story, or will it be a mess? We shall see, but I am intrigued. All right, let me get into a little bit of the details of the episode. So I will start, of course, with the Q scene in the beginning, which I absolutely fucking loved. Before I get into sort of the details of the interactions between Q and Picard, let's talk about some of those Easter eggs. So right off the bat, Q references yesterday's Enterprise, which actually I saw on the sneak peek from the Ready Room last week, so it wasn't a new thing to me, but I kind of loved it. It's, of course, a meta reference to the episode Yesterday's Enterprise, but it also works in context of the episode. It works in universe, because Picard was talking about the Stargazer, and Q was like, "Oh, how yesterday's Enterprise of you," meaning, the Stargazer was basically yesterday's Enterprise for Picard. So it works. And I thought it was very cool because, of course, that reference to that particular episode is one of the most famous alternate timeline episodes in all of Star Trek. So very cool reference. Later, he also references the Enterprise episode in The Mirror Darkly. I mean, he's not directly referencing that episode. I guess that's also a line from Shakespeare or whatever. But it's definitely a wink and a nod to that Mirror Universe episode from Star Trek Enterprise. So that was cool as well. Then Q is looking at all these different skulls, people that Picard in the alternate timeline has conquered and killed. And before he even started identifying them, that one skull I picked out right away as a Cardassian because it seemed to have that little diamond on its head. And it turned out it was Gul Dukat. And then there was another skull that was General Martok. So we're getting some Deep Space Nine references in here. And you know me, I love my Deep Space Nine, so that's super fucking cool. Apparently, later in the episode, there's a Cisco reference that I missed, but I watched another video where apparently Seven of Nine's husband or whatever said, "Oh, don't make me go get General Cisco." And I missed that. I didn't catch that at all, but apparently that's a thing that happened. But that makes me excited. Not that I expect we're going to see Cisco or anything, but just them mentioning just the Deep Space Nine love. I'm appreciating that because I feel like Deep Space Nine gets overlooked, especially in Lower Decks. Lower Decks never references Deep Space Nine, or rarely, as compared to how much they reference TNG and TOS. But anyways, I enjoy it. Of course, we also get a reference to Sarek too, but, you know, boring. I like my Deep Space Nine references. So as for the interactions between Q and Picard, what's up with Q? Why is he so pissed off at Picard? The scene that really struck me was, of course, the scene where Q strikes Picard, where he just goes, like, what the fuck? He just bitch slapped Picard? What is up with Q? And even Picard notices that something is wrong with Q. So that's another mystery that they've set up for. What is going on with Q? Why is he so pissed off? Did Picard do something? What could Picard possibly do that would piss Q off? I'm intrigued. Where are they going with this? Okay, so then we start exploring this alternate timeline, which I don't know that I love it because it really felt like kind of a cheap way to have Picard in the Mirror Universe because he never got to be in the Mirror Universe. There was never any Next Generation episodes in the Mirror Universe, and then Deep Space Nine went ahead and completely changed what the Mirror Universe is. So now that the Terran Empire has been conquered and all the humans are slaves, so everything's completely different. There is no Terran Empire. I did read a Star Trek novel before that Deep Space Nine episode came out that was about the Terran Empire version of the Enterprise D, and I loved it, and I always wanted to see it on screen, but it was never to be. So this is not the Mirror Universe. It's just kind of a way to get the Mirror Universe on Next Generation or on Picard. Yeah, it's fine. I try not to think about how the Mirror Universe would coexist with this timeline, because that makes my brain hurt. I don't know, do they both exist at the same time? I was not going to think about it. And I'm curious if there's going to be any explanation. It probably won't be, but I have a hard time buying that there would be a united Earth conquering all of these different species. Now, in the Mirror Universe, the explanation is that the Khan people kind of won the eugenics war and they conquered everybody, created a totalitarian Earth that then went out and tried to conquer other planets. I wonder if there's going to be a similar story here, because it seems to me that in order for humans to be xenophobic against other aliens, first, humans have to unite with each other and stop being xenophobic against each other, stop being racist and prejudiced against each other, all come together and then team up against the aliens. And quite frankly, we're a very, very long way from that right now. So I don't even know how we would get to the point where we'd all unite and then go after all these other aliens. I feel like if we're all going to unite, by nature, we're peaceful. So That doesn't make a lot of sense to me unless they're going to go with the Khan explanation again, but they're probably not going to explain anything. I'm probably overthinking it. Anyways, so we follow our different characters trying to cope with their surroundings. Now, did Q do this? Did Q decide that he would give Picard all of his main characters to be companions for him? He did have a line where he was like, "Oh, I won't make you do this alone." So I took that as he made it so the other main characters on the show also remember this alternate or remember the original timeline, because I don't really know what the explanation for that is. Otherwise, I would wonder, did everyone who was in that battle remember the old timeline? So every crew member of the Stargazer and the Excelsior and every other starship in that battle would remember the original timeline? Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. Probably just the main characters. But putting all those logistics aside, I thought it was really a lot of fun to see all the different characters figure things out. And 7 of 9 put things together pretty quickly, but she also is the president, so she's got access to all these different files and stuff that she could read. I love seeing Rios was just completely disoriented because he was in mid-battle and he was like, "Oh, what the fuck is happening?" And then, of course, 7 of 9 calls him up. And I really appreciated how she kind of played it safe at first because she wasn't sure if Rios was her Rios or not. And then she goes to see Girardi. Girardi is just a complete nincompoop. And I loved it. I've been enjoying Girardi through the first couple episodes here. So her scenes were a lot of fun. We see that Eleanor is being hunted down by Raffi. Seems like they really stretched the "this is my prisoner" trick. I feel like that would be hard for people to buy. I get the impression that it's highly irregular to take prisoners like that. But I think because of Picard's authority, that people bought it. Picard seems to be a big deal. And then, of course, the president was in on it. So I guess that's why. But, yeah, whatever. So then we get the introduction of the Borg Queen. So the Borg Queen has this extra perception of time. She's aware that the timeline has changed. In fact, she's the one who tells him the timeline has changed. Because at first, Picard was thinking mirror universe. He's thinking alternate reality type of thing. And it's just something where, they have to get home. Whereas it's the Borg Queen who told him, no, you're already home, that the timeline has changed. And she's able to pinpoint that it is 2024, which, by the way, is the same year that Cisco went back to. I don't think they'll run in. I was thinking maybe they'll run into a de-aged Cisco, but I believe he was in San Francisco and they're going to LA, so I don't think that's going to happen. But can you imagine? We're going to the Sanctuary District and bump into de-aged Cisco. But anyways, I digress. So they're set up to go back to 2024 to figure out how the timeline got changed. And we do know from the trailers that it is Brent Spiner. It is the ancestor to Dr. Soong. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I remain intrigued. I was very entertained by this episode. I had a good time with it. I really, really want to see where they're going with this. I think my biggest complaint of the episode would be the phony cliffhanger. I assumed that this episode was going to end with them escaping and getting back into time, and the first thing we would see is them being back in the 21st century. But to have this cliffhanger where 7 of 9's husband comes on, and it looks like he has them cornered. Ha ha ha, you'll never get away from me. Except we know they will because we've seen the fucking trailers. So what's the point of this stupid cliffhanger? Like, we know they're getting out of it. So it feels to me like a waste of time. Let's just go ahead and just get to the time travel. Like, why do we need this phony cliffhanger for? So that I could do without. But overall, really enjoyed this episode. So I am going to go ahead and give my rating out of 10 for Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode 2, Penance. And 1 would be the lowest possible score, 10 would be the highest possible score. And my rating for Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode 2 is an 8. Once again, I'm going to keep giving solid 8s because I'm just skeptical about where they are going with this. So it's hard for me to go 9 or 10, not knowing where we're heading. However, I have very much enjoyed the first 2 episodes, but I can retroactively unenjoy them if this season ends badly. So 8 feels like a safer number for me, but we'll see. At some point, I'm either going to have to start giving 6s and 7s or 9s and 10s. So we will see where this thing heads. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Please join me next week as I not only review Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode 3, but also Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 13. It's the finale. So check that out. The Discovery review, as usual, will come out first. That'll come out on Thursday. Picard review on Friday. Also, please check out my review for Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, which should be up there right now as you are watching this. So please check all that out on my channel and subscribe. And oh yeah, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the like button before you leave. And I will see you very, very soon. Goodbye.